Hey everybody, before we get into today's video, I just wanted to take a moment and thank today's sponsor, HIPAA Parts. If you're looking for quality aftermarket parts that don't break the bank but are great quality, I would highly recommend checking out HIPAA Parts. I've used them for a very long time for a lot of different things. They offer mower blades, they offer chainsaw blades, they offer carburetor kits, tune-up kits, filters, spark plugs, you name it. They have a lot to choose from. What I really like and use a lot is their tune-up kits. They send you kits such as the carburetor, the fuel filter, the fuel line, filters, gaskets, just about everything you would need to kind of get your machine up and going again. I really like using their kits on their 2-cycle pieces. It makes it super slick, super easy. I don't have to go searching for everything. It's all in one. It's like an all-in-one tune-up kit. It's fantastic. If you're working on a bigger machine, such as the generator that we're going to be working on here today, or a riding mower or something like that, wood chipper, log splitter, they have parts for engines bigger than your 2 cycles. They got it for 4 cycles too. They have tune-up kits as well. They got blades for your riding mower, push mower, belts. They have quite a lot to choose from. HIPAA Parts would like to pass some of those savings on to you, so be sure to check them out at HIPAAstore.com. For any single order from now till December 31st of 2025 of $12 or more, be sure to use our coupon code MyTinyGarage5, which will get you 5% off of that order. I want to thank HIPAA Parts for sponsoring today's video. Their carburetor is going to come in very useful in this generator, as we're going to see in just a minute. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome back to My Tiny Garage. My name is Jared, and on my workbench today, we have a very dirty, somewhat old looking, falling apart, gummed up Powermate 2000 watt generator. This thing looks pretty rough, not gonna lie. We got a bunch of oil everywhere, and well, you can probably see it, but that is disgusting. We're going to see if we can't get this thing to run. We're going to see if we can't get this thing to make some electricity today. It's 2,000 watts, I believe. Sure, I'm actually at 2250. 2,250 watts is what it calls for. This is running on a Tecumseh 5 horsepower engine. And I have no idea if it even runs. It does turn over, so that is a good sign. But I don't know much else about it from there. I really don't know anything else. It could be totally broken. So let's throw a little bit of gas down the spark plug hole, or perhaps just right into the intake, either one, and see if it'll start. And if it does, see if it'll make a little bit of power before we go and dump a whole bunch of time into this. I just had to bring you in here for a little bit of close-up just to check this out. Look at that. That is rough. I don't know how long it's got to sit that way before it starts tarring up on the outside of the carburetor, but yeah, that looks pretty rough. All right, I'm going to plug in this light, and we'll turn it on, and we'll see if we can't make anything light up. Now, everything's absolutely frozen. None of these levers move. Well, I lied. That one will move, but it doesn't. Yeah. They'll move, but barely. That one doesn't move. So which direction here? Okay, so this is wide open. That's choke. Okay. All right, so let's throw a little bit of carb cleaner down in this old girl. And give her some choke. And see if it'll light off or not. I'm gonna be optimistic. Give it like half choke. All right, here we go. Okay, well, she runs. I didn't see any electricity though. Make sure it's reset. Let's try that again. Trying to keep it run a little bit longer, get some better RPM out of it. Might be able to get that light to turn on. Oh, verify that our light does work here. Plug it into the... Yep, light does work. Okay. Not real happy though. I'm going to stick our multimeter on here as well. I just want to see if anything's happening at all. So got our multimeter set up here. See if it's going to give us anything at all, any chance at electricity. It's trying. I don't think it's gonna get, it's not getting up to speed. Well, we just lost our starter rotor. Well, I guess a good place to start here then is just gonna be working towards getting this cover off. Let's cover off the front so we can get to our rewind and fuel lines and all that. Let's start popping some things off. I like how that's hooked to the head bolts. Wonderful design. Let's just get our fuel tank off of here altogether. As I'm short, if everything works as it should, we're definitely nothing in it. We're definitely going to want to change our fuel line, I'm sure. Any bit of luck, this will pop right off the front and not give us too much trouble. Should be fantastic. There we go. And yes, of course, just to be sure, we will go ahead and torque these. Got our front shroud off so we can get to the end of our flywheel nut. So I'm going to actually spin this over with the drill. I'm going to leave a link to one of these ratchet sockets down below if you're interested. They basically allow you to turn but then when the engine starts and you stop, it doesn't rip it out of your hand. It allows it to ratchet. A little bit of a safety feature if you're wanting to do this. Just keeps your wrists in wrist working condition instead of broken. But all right, so we're gonna run this here wide open, and now I should be able to give it the beans and give it the juice all at the same time, which hopefully will allow us to be able to see if this thing is going to start and run. So, without any further ado, let's give it a try. Not a happy camper. Not a happy camper. One of the things I might question is the spark plug wire. As you can see, it is just happy-go-lucky. So I don't know if we can try to crimp this on a little bit better, maybe, so that it'll stay put. There we go. Now I can kind of ensure that it's actually going to get some spark. And the other thing I might do too is these magnets are a little bit rusty. So I might just run some sandpaper on them. Try to get them cleaned up a little bit. Make sure that we're going to get some decent hot spark. It was trying to go, so I don't think it needs too much, but it could be a little happier. Get up under here as well. Okay, let's give that another try and see if that made any difference at all. Alright, let's see if that made any difference here. I don't know if it did or didn't, but our choke is open. So let's give it a little bit, see if we can get it to run. I have the multimeter reconnected here as well as the light. I just want to see if we're getting anything at all. Let's see what happens. Okay, we got a light. We got a light that time. We had a light. All right. That's awesome. Now we know our generator power head end does indeed work. Okay. So now we just need to get the engine to stay running. So as you can probably tell, with all this mess going on here and as stuck as we are, we're not even going to try to clean this carburetor. We have a new one from our friends at HIPAA, and we are just going to throw that right on. So we're just going to go ahead and really just pull all of this off of here. We will have to clean all this junk off the filter plate. But as far as the carburetor goes, we're not even going to mess with it. Going right to a new one. And of course, we will replace all this fuel line as well, because it is quite old and brittle, as we can see. Okay. This governor linkage here is broken. I twisted it around to try to make something temporary, but it is junk. It's broken. So I was actually able to find a new old stock one. Thought I was going to have to make one there for a little while, but we were able to find a new old stock one. So we will be using that instead. And why in the world would they design something like that where you can't get in on the screw is beyond me. These are the battles that we face as mechanics, am I right? Man, things really in there. A bit of a fatter head on. See if that makes any difference. Oh, and it's goes for some WD-40 or something. It's pretty tough there. For whatever reason, it seems to like its home and doesn't really want to come out of that. There we go. Little WD-40 did a little bit of convincing. There we have it. There's our carburetor. How things look down inside of here. Everything looks pretty good. Not full of junk like I thought. Oh, look, there we go. There's some of that old fuel. Oh yeah, that stuff's old. That stuff's old. Drip down here my pliers. That's some old varnish. Look at that. That is varnished gas. We get the hose clamp off this other side, and we can just pull that line right on up and out of there. Let's see what comes out of this. Oh yeah, look at that. You could stain a tabletop with that good stuff. Ugh. Get that out of here. Good old made in USA fuel line. Can you believe that? We can still get such a thing. Measure this all out real scientifically. And of course we'll leave just a little bit extra just to be on the safe side. If we can manage to fish this back through here, that would be wonderful. Got it going behind these little engine tabs and such so it doesn't get caught on the flywheel. It can make things just a little tricky when it comes to fishing this through, but I think we got it. Yep, I believe that we got it. There we go. Wonderful. Okay, that was easy enough. New fuel line was installed. Let's remove this gasket off of here next. It almost would appear as though somebody used some red thread locker in that hole, because I see a little bit of red. See a little bit of red coming out of that hole. And it makes me wonder. The things that make you go, Thanks to HIPAA, we have a brand new gasket. And then our brand new carburetor. Here's what it is supposed to look like. Which is a little bit different from what it currently looks like. Okay, so which hole right now keeps this open? Because we want one of these. It's going to keep it open. Let's see. I'm going to take a guess. And we're just going to start with this one here. I probably should have done this before I put the carburetor on. But I think I can still get it in here. Yeah, I can still get it in. So let's see what this one kind of feels like. There we go. How's that look? Alright, so we pretty well got full opening. Yeah, let's try that. Let's try that setting right there, and if we need to, we can make an adjustment as needed. I'm not going to put our air filter cleaner thing back on there yet. It needs clean, but I still would like to see this thing run a little bit better before I go and put that all back on there. So I'm just going to sit these things to the side. HIPAA was very kind to also send fuel hose clamps along, which was super, super nice of them. There we go. So let's just move that up here a little bit so we can actually kind of get to it should we have to. But I don't really think that we're going to have to. So something I do see right away, a little bit of a difference here, is that we have an elbow on this where we have a straight shot on that. I wonder if we can... Ouch! That thing got a little bit of tension on it. I wonder here if we can't... I don't know if that'd be swappable or not. Probably not. Yeah, that doesn't look like it's going to be swappable. That may cause a little bit of a problem, a little bit of a pinch point for our testing. I'm actually going to use an external fuel tank now that I think about it. So let's just pull this off entirely. Back off of here. I'm just going to use an external tank to feed that. And we'll do that. You know what we could also do here that I just now thought about is they sent along an inline fuel filter, and if we wanted to add a little bit on there, we could actually add the junction for that fuel filter right here, and then just have another little piece of the line come up and around. That maybe might be the best thing to do. I'll have to keep that in mind. I probably won't do that until the shroud's on, so I can kind of see exactly what we have going on. But yeah, I sort of wonder myself if maybe that wouldn't be the best thing to do. Got here our external fuel tank, a little bit of fuel in it. Gonna hang that here from our ceiling in a safe position. Get our lines worked around. And we're just gonna put that red on here, like so. This will allow us to kind of do some testing and maybe potentially get it to run. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the fuel on. And let's see if we get any leaks anywhere before we start the process and make sure it's not going to overflow or anything. See any problems yet? Well, it looks to be okay. Alright, let me grab some screwdrivers, and I think ready to see if we can't get this thing to start up and run. Before we go too awful crazy, I do want to make sure we do have oil in here. We did there when I checked earlier. Yeah, we got oil. It is down a little low, so I may add just a little bit here. We're going to change it anyway, of course, once it all runs as it should. Yeah, it's down the add mark. So let's just add a little bit of oil. Something to pay attention to. This engine didn't seem to have it, but some of these engines have a low oil shutdown sensor, which could give us a good reason of why it was starting so hard, or really not even wanting to stay running at all. Granted, it was brake clean, but some of them have like a low oil sensor, and if that's the case, that can be one really good reason why it won't restart. So I didn't see one on this. I did look for it. This is probably too old to really have one, and also probably too small of a machine, but I did want to mention it. If you'll know you'll have one because it'll be plugged into the block usually somewhere, little sensor, and then wires going up, so kind of up in this general area. It's usually a pretty good indication that you have one. What it'll do is it helps keep your generator from running out of oil. So if it's out running during a power outage, and something goes wrong, you won't burn your generator up. It'll kind of catch it in time. It's a little safety feature. So, all right, right there we are. We are about right in the middle of everything. So just for good measure, I'll just give it a little extra dunk. A little more of a dunk. We'll call that's probably about full for the old girl. I see a lot of oil here around. I'm kind of wondering if the dipstick tube isn't leaking. There's an O-ring where it meets the block, and there's kind of oil everywhere here, so I'm not sure if it's that or if it's the main rear seal of the engine. Hopefully it's not that, because that would be a real gem to get to. For this test here, I am going to be hooking up the digital tachometer so we can actually see what our engine is going to be running at. Because of course we do not want to exceed 3,600 RPM, so we want to make sure that we are well within spec. And we got really 3 different adjustments. So right here we would have this should be, let me make sure, this will be our idle screw. So this would be our idle, and right here would be our idle mixture, and then our main mixture jets on the bottom with like a thumb screw. Now these pretty much run all out. They don't have an idle, so you pretty much just set it and forget it. The only thing you're going to have to set is load, so you want it to be able to keep up with load. You don't want it to die out. We're not going to do that test right now, though. We have to get out a kilowatt meter and hook some stuff up to it and actually do some bench testing to get it to that point. Right now, I just want to get it to run, and I just want it to run optimally for the moment, just see what we're up against, of course. Yeah, so let's just see if we can get it to run, see if we like where this is set at primarily, and make a few other fine adjustments here as we go along. We're going to give it some choke and see if it'll take off for us. It's trying. We're definitely getting a lot of fuel blown back, though, so maybe a little bit too much choke. Let's take it off choke and try that. Okay. So there it took off. We hit 3,800 RPM, so not real great. Alright, let's give it a little bit more. We're going to mess around with the adjustment screw a little bit. Getting there. Alright, got it to run. Didn't seem real happy in those settings, though. Didn't seem real happy about that, so I'm thinking we might need to change this governor lever a little bit. So let me make an adjustment and we'll be back to it. I changed this lever over to be in the closer hole, so it allows this to sag closed a little bit more. That might be a little better. Let's try that on for size and see how we like that. Well, I've been toying around with this thing here for a few minutes here off camera, and I just can't get it to run right at all. I've tried different linkage settings, and I've tried a bunch of different settings and adjustments and everything, and it just doesn't seem to want to run. It just wants to kind of take what I would call run away almost. It just wants to run away on us. I'm seeing it wants to hit about 4,000, 5,000 RPM, and then it'll just kind of shut off. So usually that would sort of indicate too much air. So I'm kind of wondering here if perhaps it's just going to need this air filter on. That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me because a lot of Tecumseh snowblowers run this H50 engine. That's what this is. And of course, snowblowers, they don't have a need for an air box. So I'm not sure what exactly to quite think of that. But we're going to continue onwards and perhaps try to put this air filter on and see if that'll help limit the air a little bit. I checked real briefly kind of for cracks on the intake side of the engine. I didn't see anything that's obvious, so I don't necessarily think it'd be like a cracked block or anything that's letting too much air in, but I guess it could be if it's not real obvious. But yeah, we'll start here and see if this makes any difference. I kind of doubt that it will, but I just want to rule it out. Even if I manually move the governor linkage myself to bring it back down to speed, it just doesn't like it. It's not very happy. It doesn't want to stay and attempt to even idle. I say idle, but 3,600 is what we're aiming for. I mean, somewhere within there. The limit's 3,600, so yeah, let me put this filter on and see if that makes any difference at all whatsoever. Pretty rudimentary system here. You just twist lock it. There we go. And just tighten it down. A lot of times I end up putting washers on here because these are kind of usually worn out and the screws like to pull through. But cross that bridge there when we get to it. We're not quite ready for all that yet. Still trying to get it to run halfway decent. Okay. Airbox is on. That should pretty well give an airbox seal. I'm going to kind of set the main jet back to about 1 turn open and see where that gets us. Let's try it some more, I guess. Well, that ran a whole lot better than I ever got it to run before. Let's try changing up this linkage again. Maybe back to the way it was originally and see if that makes any difference. It almost wanted to stay running right where it should, but it just didn't quite have enough want to yet. But it was close. Let's just change this back to the way it was and see if it, I don't know, see if it makes any difference at all. Let's try that. Well, that's the closest we've been able to get it to run yet. It actually didn't run too half bad. It still had a little bit of an idling problem, but we were able to hang around 36 there on that. Let's change this spark plug out, and I don't really think that would make too much of a difference, but it might. Just put a fresh one in there, and that way we're starting fresh on that. And maybe we'll hook it up and do like a little bit of a load test and see. It seems to be getting better as we run it. It seems to be working its corks out, so maybe the rings needed seated there a little bit or something. Of course, we already know this thing is going to be hot, so I am not touching that with my fingers, that is for sure. See another problem here. It looks like our spark plug worked itself loose, so I'm sure that probably wasn't helping anything. That's probably not helping the compression situation. Just pull this thing out of here. Threads don't look damaged, so that's good. I don't know why it would have worked itself loose, but something to check. That would probably be a little bit of a compression loss, I would say. It's probably a good thing we found that when we did. All right, 30 thousandths for our gap. So use our spark plug gap tool. Surround the 30 thousandths. I wonder if it won't just run a whole lot better now. I do wonder. If it wasn't getting a full compression there before, no wonder it was kind of bouncing around. I don't know, it might not make any difference, but I would like to think that it would. It's the only thing else to check from here, if we keep running into an issue where it isn't wanting to run very smooth. Another thing we can check would be our coil and make sure that our coil is actually giving spark like it should be. Okay, wow, that made a lot of difference. Who would have guessed that that would have been a problem? But apparently it was a problem. For some reason, it either wasn't tight. I knew it was tight to begin with because I did check it. I didn't check it on camera, but I knew it was tight. So I don't know if it just backed itself out of there, or I don't know what happened. I'll have to pay attention to that. It's still tight at the minute, so I'm strange. I'm not sure what would have happened. But either way, that really solved our problem. Now it runs superb now. It wants to stay right at 3,500, smooth sailing. So what do you say we get set up now and do some load testing, and I'll show you how we're kind of going to do that. Let me get set up for that, and we'll be there next. Okay, I have our mess of wires here that we're going to use to do this test. So the way this is going to work is we want the engine set close to 3,600 RPM. That's going to be the maximum RPM of the engine, and according to our spec sheet over here, 3,600 RPM, we're supposed to be at 120 volts with 60 hertz. Now, we want to try to stay as close to that 60 hertz as we can. The voltage, vary a little bit, even from your house power. I think even a little bit, it's like 115 on occasion. So to do that, a very handy tool is this kilowatt meter. And that's going to show us not only our draw with the heaters, but that's going to show us what this is making. So I will leave a link to these, an affiliate link below if you want to check this out. But it is a very handy tool for generators. So what we have going on here then is we're going to have power coming out of the generator. We're going to be able to monitor that power here. And then, of course, at the same time, we're also going to be able to monitor our engine speed. From there, once we have things set, kind of how we like it, now we start introducing load. And we got two heaters here. This is a double-stage oil heater and a single-stage electric heater. Both of these powering up together, I'm going to guess, I don't know, somewhere around 1,000 watts or so. We're just going to put a pretty good load on it. Might even be more than that. It's been a minute since I've tested these, so we'll find out here in just a second. But we're going to load this generator down and make sure it doesn't stall out and make sure it tries to keep up. Now, it's not going to keep up with the 60 hertz, most likely. It's probably not going to keep up with that. It might not even keep up with the voltage. But the important thing is that it tries. These older generators are set purely on engine speed. So like the newer generators have an AVR system, which is an electronic system that would automatically monitor that voltage and keep it a lot closer. These here, you basically think of it an old car on a hill. So you get a running start. So basically you wind this thing the whole way up, you run it up the hill, and you just hope you make it to the top of the hill before it shuts off. That's kind of the way these work. It's a very simple design. You just run them up and you plug in what you can, and that's about all you're going to get out of it. That's the best you can get. Very easy to tune them because of that reason, but not as good on the power requirements. Definitely not necessarily for electronics, sensitive electronics like laptops and computers and so on. But for general simple stuff, power tools, they work okay for that. Be throwing around freezers, maybe not smart ones, but you get the idea. These things are kind of a relic of the past anyway. They are what they are. So I'm going to get this kind of fired up, and I'm going to do my best here to kind of show you what I have going on as we're doing it. But I just want to give you a quick explanation of what is going on, so you probably won't be able to hear me over the sound of the engine, so I'll try to point it out as we go, but you probably won't be able to hear anything. So, all right, with that, let's get this thing fired up, and let's see how it looks. Let's see what everything looks like. Well, there we go. We have successfully completed a load test, and the load test showed us this old girl is old and tired and not up to spec quite anymore. I was seeing voltage numbers of high 60s, 70s, which is about half of really what it should be. Is that a problem of the engine side or the generator side? I'm going to say it's probably on the engine side. I was noticing that there was a fair amount of blow-by coming out the tube right here. A lot of oil smoke coming out of there. So my first guess is that it probably needs a set of rings. It could be valve. Well, it's probably valves both. The other thing I was thinking of is you saw that I had to take about half the head bolts out to get the shroud off. Depending how many times that shroud has been off and on there, you could also probably have a head gasket issue as well. Number of different things that I see kind of going on here on the engine side for sure. Generator side seemed to keep up okay. I didn't really see anything that was stuck out to me a whole lot. I'm no expert on the generator side. I'm not an expert in electric. But generator side seemed okay as far as I could tell. So I think as far as where to go from here, to be honest, I'm not quite really sure. I don't know if it's worth getting into the engine and redoing all of those parts and hoping for the best. As old as this thing is, it's sort of a little bit outdated. It's kind of a relic of its time. I don't really have a personal use for it, so I don't know. I'm not really sure where we should go from here, or if I should, give it to somebody who might make better use of it. So drop me a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Let me know. I'll hold on to this for a little bit and see what you guys think. See if I should tear into it more and redo it and try to get it better, or if I think I should just let it go to someone else who could perhaps use the items on it maybe just a little bit better. I don't know. See what you guys think. As far as the carburetor and the other parts that HIPA provided, I want to say thank you again to HIPA. They performed flawlessly as expected. Never had a problem with HIPA's things. I appreciate them sponsoring the video, and their support means a lot to the channel. Hit that like button. It does help out the channel, does help us grow, and if you like this kind of content and want to see more of it, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any future videos that we have. We have plenty more in the future coming down the line. So with that being said, I think that's all I got for this video. We'll kind of take a consensus here after a little while what you guys think, and maybe we'll be back for part 2. Not sure yet. See what you guys think. With that, I'm out, so we'll see you in the next video.